When I first learned about this Golden Heart Award, I was hesitant to accept this partially because tonight's event is on a Monday, and tomorrow morning I have to catch the 5:50 a.m. C train at 86th Street to get to God's Love for my volunteer shift in the kitchen. Surprisingly enough, the MTA not only has an actual timetable, but it's reliably on time that early in the morning. No doubt most of you are going to put that to good use soon. My guess is that many of you haven't been in God's Love kitchen at that ungodly hour. So I thought I'd just run through a typical morning. When I get there just after 6, I'm usually about the second, sometimes the third volunteer to arrive. But some of the kitchen staff have actually been there as early as 3:30 in the morning. They're cooking the food that's been prepped the day before, because the first shift in the day is the last stage in the kitchen prep. The meals are going to be packed and sent out for delivery to the clients. The first thing that happens is that everyone, the volunteers, when they arrive, they put on their apron, cover their hair, wash their hands, put on gloves. I emphasize this because God's Love Kitchen is constantly scrubbed, sanitized, and kept amazingly clean. It's much, much better than almost any restaurant kitchen you've ever seen. Not to name names, but maybe Jean-Georges with their threatened B rating needs to take a tour. Anyway, as volunteers stagger in later in the morning, they set up basically assembly lines. First thing is soup lines are set up. On each one, the first person ladles the soup, next one puts a lid on, somebody burps the soup container to get out extra air. We put on 20 containers to a tray. The trays are put in rolling proofers, which keep everything hot. They go upstairs to go out for delivery. Soup burper is a special skill. I'm sure it's on lots of people's resumes now. So after we've knocked out about 1,400 or so soups, the tables are all rearranged, 2 long double-sided lines to pack out the main meal. By this time, there's maybe 15, 16 people, volunteers, plus the staff are still there. Meal tins are passed down the line, double line, and they're filled with first a starch, a vegetable, a meat, sauce. They're lidded. The lid is sealed with a kachanga, which is the sound of the thing that seals it, and they go into another proofer sent upstairs for delivery. First we do hot meals, then cold meals to be frozen for clients to have at a later date, about 1,000 meals altogether. And as we're on this pack-out line, there's music playing, and sometimes people are singing along, and there's always several ongoing nonstop conversations and lots of laughter. We discuss movies and restaurants and books and recipes and new boyfriends and new grandchildren and what's going on and who's going on what fabulous trip next week, and religion and politics and all the things you shouldn't talk about at a nice dinner party, and whether the pork chops we're packing during Passover are really PC. For me that's okay because I'm Jew-ish. Anyway, part of why I've kept volunteering at God's Love since, I don't know, about the Eisenhower administration is the fun times we have on the line and the good friends I've made. I've made such good friends that on my Tuesday morning, they were the first non-relatives I told that when Bob and I sneaked off to Massachusetts and got married, they were the first people I told. And that night, we got back from Massachusetts, and Bob baked a wedding cake for ourselves, and I brought the cake down and shared it with my shift the next morning after our shift. But here's why I really keep at it. Many years ago, Bob and I were visiting friends of ours, a couple who both has AIDS. One of them had lots of opportunistic infections. He was really weak. I was sitting at the edge of his bed. He was lying there. He looked down at the meal that had been delivered to him earlier, and he said, "This meal from God's love is what's going to let me die at home. And every week, literally every single week, as I ladle out vegetables and yearn for that cup of coffee, I think of my friend, and I know that every one of those meals is just as important to another person with another devastating disease. And that's why I'm going to be on tomorrow morning's 5:50 a.m. C train, and why I thank all of you for your continued support of God's love. Thank you.